Good morning. We're here for another free children's yoga class. It's Tuesday and we're going to do some sun salutations today, which is what I kind of think we need because it's quite grey and drizzly and damp out there. So we're going to start on our mats and we're going to start off quite slowly and then build up and get a bit more fire in ourselves and a bit more energy and warmth, just like the sun. I can't promise that it's going to make it sunny, but we'll give it a go. And what I'm going to do is I've got a screen next to me here, so if anybody puts any comments in and wants me to say hello to them, put a comment up there and then I'll be able to see it and we can have a bit of a shout out going on. So just give me a minute while I find myself and then I'll be able to see any comments that are happening. Right, so let's just have a little loosen up, give your arms a little bit of a shake, give your legs a bit of a shake. Oh, and we're starting off doing our sun salutation standing, so we're going to warm our feet up. So let's roll onto the outer edges of our feet and come all the way up to tiptoes and then all the way back down again and all the way up to tiptoes again, and it might get a little bit wobbly because we're actually doing a bit of a balance, and then we'll reach up with our hands as well. Ooh, and all the way back down again. We've got a hello from Lara. Morning Lara, nice to see you. Right, so we'll start at the front of our mats. We're going to have our feet together, turn our toes out, so we're making sort of pizza slice shapes with our feet, and then turn our heels out and have a little bend in your knees. We're going to start with our hands together and then take a big breath in, reach up to the ceiling and then breathe out and fold forwards, and you can bend your legs a little bit if you need to. Then we're going to breathe in to look forwards, breathe out, bend your knees, put your hands down and step back with one foot. And then step back with the other foot, and if this hurts your back or your tummy, you can put your knees down. Then we're all going to put our knees down and scoot down to the ground and come up to Cobra. So for Cobra, you need to have your hands on the floor and your elbows bent and tucked in, and send your shoulders away from your ears. And it's quite fun at this point to do a sort of sound. Then we're going to tuck our toes under, push into our hands and come back to downward facing dog. And let's just have a little walk from one foot to the other to get the backs of our legs stretched out. And of course when we're doing downward facing dog, it's nice to give our doggy tails a little waggle, and we can make some barking or doggy noises if we want. Right, now we're going to lift one leg in the air and look between our hands and see if you can swing that foot forwards. Mine always goes out to the side a little bit, but you might be able to get yours between your hands, or you can just put your back knee down, step your foot round, and then we're back where we were earlier. Then we're going to bounce the other foot forward, so we've got 2 feet together at the front of the mat, push into your feet, reach up towards the ceiling, and then bring your hands together. And we've done half a sun salutation. I'm just going to change the angle a little bit so that you can see my actual mats. I think that's a bit better, as long as it doesn't fall over. Right, we're going to do that all over again on the other side. So remember which foot you did first. We're now going to do the other one. So we've got our feet at the front of the mat, a little boing in our legs, hands together, big breath in, reach up towards the ceiling, and then reach down towards the floor. Bend your knees a little bit if you need to. Then we'll look forwards as we breathe in. Bend your knees, hands down, and step your other foot back. Then we're going to step both feet back. So we're in a plank. And again, if it hurts your back, you can put your knees on the floor. Then we'll arch our back, scoot down, come up to Cobra. Tuck your elbows into your side. Let's just have a little look round, a hiss. Then tuck your toes under, push into your hands. Downward facing dog. Have a little walk from one leg to the other. Oh, nice stretch out. And then lift your other leg in the air. We're going to swing it forwards. And then bounce your other foot forwards. Push into your feet. Reach up. And then 2 hands together. So hopefully that's all feeling okay. Oh, as you can tell, I'm already a little bit out of breath after doing that. So we're going to do that again on each side, and the idea is I'm going to talk less, because the more you do it, the more you get into your head what's coming next, so you don't need to listen to what I'm saying. So let's have another go on each side, and then we can try some different variations. Okay, so we'll start with our hands together, and we're in mountain pose. We're reaching up, and then folding forwards, then looking forwards, bend your knees, hands down, step one leg back, then two legs back, and knees down, scoot down to the floor, up into cobra, have a little hiss, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog, make some doggy noises and waggle your tail a little bit if you want to, and then we'll lift one leg in the air, swing that foot forwards, and as I said, put your knee down if you need to, then 2 feet forwards, push into your feet, reach all the way up to the ceiling, and then hands together. And let's have a go on the other side. So remember which foot you did before, we're going to do the other one now. Reaching all the way up, and then flopping down, looking forwards, and then stepping your second foot back. Then 2 feet back, knees down, scoot to the ground, up to cobra, have a little hiss. Tuck your toes under, back to downward facing dog, other leg in the air, swing it forwards, and then 2 feet forwards, push into your feet, reach up, and hands together. Oh, so I feel a bit more loosened up and warm already. I've got a hello from Lucy and Zoe. Hello there, hope you're enjoying it. Right, so we're going to do a couple of bouncy versions now. Let's get ourselves bouncing up and down a bit. So when we're doing a bouncy version, instead of stepping 1 foot back at a time, we jump both feet back. So we're going to have a little practice at doing some jumping and bouncing around. Now, if any of this hurts, if it hurts your back or it hurts your arms or your shoulders, then stick with stepping 1 foot at a time instead. And like I said, you can always put your knees down as well. That helps to support you a bit more as well if anything doesn't feel right. But let's just see how we feel when we're doing a bit of bouncing around. Okay, we're going to start in downward facing dog, and we're going to do some donkey kicks. So just start with some little ones. You can do 1 foot at a time. Just to see how it goes. If you don't like doing donkey kicks, you can just try lifting 1 leg at a time. Or just do little tiny ones like that. So have a little play around. Don't go too wild, because what we don't want is to have your legs flipping over and you ending up lying on your back on the floor. So just stay in control of what sort of donkey kicks you're doing. And then if it's all feeling good, we're going to try jumping our feet forwards and backwards. So when you finish your donkey kicks, let's get into downward facing dog, and we're going to put our feet together and look between our hands and see if we can jump our feet forwards and backwards a bit. So if you jump forwards and then backwards, and then maybe jump a little further forwards and a little further backwards, then maybe a little further forwards and a little further backwards, and you might find you can actually jump your feet so they come all the way forwards between your hands. So have a little go at jumping forwards and backwards. Excuse me, and see how that feels. Okay, and then what we're going to do is if we stand at the front of the mat with our feet together and then lean forward, so your hands are on the floor, bend your knees. You might not get your hands flat down, so you can just have your fingertips down to start with and see if you can jump your hands backwards so that you come into a plank, and then go into downward facing dog, bend your knees and see if you can jump your feet forward. So I can't quite get my feet between my hands, but you might find you can. I have known children just keep going with their feet forwards and they end up sitting on their bottoms. We don't want to go that far forwards, we just want the feet to land between the hands. So it's just have a little jump back again and jump forwards again and see how it feels. If any of it feels wrong, you don't have to do it. So you can just stick with stepping 1 foot at a time. So I'm just going to stop and here and let you have a little play around with bouncing forwards and backwards. And other places to check are your hands and your shoulders. and your back. So if any of it doesn't feel right, we're just going to go with stepping. And now let's see if we can put it all together and try doing a sun salutation without jumping around. So let's start at the front of the mat. We're going to start with our feet together and our hands at our hearts. Take a breath in, reach up, and then breathe out to fold down. Breathe in to look up, then bend your knees, hands on the floor, and then big bounce back. So we're in a plank position. We don't want our bottoms too high or too low. We're trying to go for as straight as line as possible. Okay, then we'll stick our knees down on the floor, arch your back, scoop down, see if you can get your chin to the floor, and then all the way up. So we're in cobra. Tuck your elbows to the side, toes under, downward facing dog. Then we're going to keep our feet together, look between your hands, bend your knees and point those feet forwards. And then straighten your legs a little, then breathe in, arms all the way up, and then hands together. So that, we only need to do that once because this is a symmetrical version. So symmetrical is when both sides of the body are doing the same thing. When we're stepping 1 foot at a time, we have to then do the other side, so the other side matches. But because we're doing both arms and legs at the same time, then it's symmetrical, so we only have to do it once if we want to. But I think it's such good fun, I want to do it all over again. So I think we should. But if you want to have a rest, you can. So let's start the front of the mat, hands together. Big breath in. Oh, and then breathe out, flop forwards. Bend your knees a bit if you need to. Breathe in, look forwards, hands down to the ground, bend your knees, point back into your plank. Knees down, arch your back, scoot to the ground, up to cobra, toes under, downward facing dog, woo, woo, woo. And then we're going to boing forwards. We could do a frog noise for this, so look between your hands, bend your knees, boing forwards, ribbit, ribbit, and then straighten your legs, push into your feet, arms up to the ceiling, and then hands together. I think we could do one more of those, and I'm not going to talk at all. So I think you can remember how to do this, because whenever I do this with children, we always get to a point where they know exactly what's coming next, and we can do the whole thing without me talking at all. So I reckon you'll be able to do it as well. Oh, so we'll start with our hands together. And what's really difficult for me is to stop talking. So I've got to tell myself, I'm going to stop talking now. So did you end up standing up at the front of your mat? If you did, that's absolutely brilliant. If you ended up doing your own version, that's fine as well. So we're going to start to slow things down now. And the first thing we're going to do is lie on our backs on the floor. I haven't got a lot of space here, so I'd like you to lie with your arms out, but because I've got a wall next to me, I'm only going to have one arm out. Have your knees bent, and then just let both knees flop to the side. Oh. And then we'll let the knees come back up towards the ceiling, and then let them flop the other side, and then back up again. And we're going to do that once more on each side. And then next time your knees come up, bring them in towards you, have a little roll around. Oh, and then squeeze them in, and then back out again. We'll do that a couple more times. Oh, and then we're going to roll forwards and backwards a few times. And think of how you're giving yourself a bit of a back massage when you're doing this, and then roll all the way up to sitting. Fabulous. Okay, so we're going to finish by doing a little bit of a breathing practice, and then we'll have a lovely relaxation. So have a little shuffle on your sitting bones, rocking from one side to the other. And then think of your head floating upwards. Bring your shoulders up to your ears, take a big breath in. Oh, let your shoulders slide down your back. I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera now so that you can see what I'm doing a bit better. I'm not miles away. And we are going to do a breathing practice which is about balancing both sides of your body. And we're going to use our hands. And you're going to breathe at your natural breathing rate. So I really don't like it when people say breathe in now and breathe out now, because you're sort of waiting there thinking, well, actually I want to breathe out now, I don't want to wait to be told what to do, and you end up thinking you're all worried, and we don't want to feel like that. We want to feel lovely and relaxed. So you breathe at the rate that is right for you, but I'm going to tell you what to do at the same time as you're breathing. So we're going to use our hands. If you're sitting, just rest them nicely on your legs, and then breathe in and raise one hand up, and breathe out and lower it down again. And breathe in, raise the other hand, breathe out to lower down. So your hand will not be moving at the same time as mine. It might help you if you shut your eyes, and then you won't be trying to keep up with me. And if you're in the same room as somebody else, if I was watching you, I'd like to see that your hands are moving at a different speed as well. And also what I don't want to see is this, because it means you're not really thinking about what you're doing. So it's lovely, slow. Breathe in, lift one hand. Breathe out, lower down. And just see how you feel when you're doing this. And it should feel nice and relaxed and slow and calm. And you might notice that the longer you do it, the slower your breathing gets. So we'll just do that once more on each side. And then when you've done your second side for the last time, you can get comfortable lying on the floor. So when we're lying for relaxation, we want to make a sort of gingerbread person shape. So we're lying with our feet apart, our arms out to the side, the palms of the hands going up towards the ceiling. Now, if it's uncomfortable in your back, you can bend your knees. You can also have a cushion under your head. Some people like to lie on their fronts when they're doing relaxation. Just try it on your back first. If you want to lie on your front, that's fine, but we want to be totally comfortable so we're not sort of having to keep fidgeting and adjusting. So if you do your fidgeting now, and then see if you can lie still and have your hand on your tummy. So when you breathe in, feel your tummy going up, and when you breathe out, you feel it going back down again. And you don't have to push it or force it, just gentle movements. We don't have to try hard at this, we're just letting it happen. It will happen all on its own. And I'd like you to imagine that you're floating in a bowl of soup. And it's lovely and thick and warm, and it's your favourite flavour. And when you breathe in, you can feel the steam and the warmth in your nose, and when you breathe out, you can just relax and let the soup hold you up. And we're just going to float there in this wonderful soup. It might be tomato flavour, might be vegetable flavour, might have lentils in it. I think everybody's got a favourite soup, and it's the sort of lovely soup that you might have if you're not been feeling very well and you're starting to get better. So everyone's making a fuss of you, but you're not actually feeling that ill anymore. So it's this lovely, comforting soup, the sort of thing someone who really loves you would make for you and say, yeah, you have that and you'll feel lovely. It's like you're floating in a hug that someone's made for you. So breathing in, lovely warm, lovely smell. Breathing out, feeling this soup hold you up. And it feels a little bit wet against your clothes and your skin, but it's a lovely feeling. And then give your fingers and toes a little wriggle. We're going to imagine the soup's drained away now. Have a little bit of a stretch out. Have a bit of a yawn, roll to one side, take your time to come up to sitting. And when you're sitting, we're going to do 3 big breaths. And it's a bit like the sun salutations we were doing, that we call them sun breaths, because you're moving in time with your breathing and you're having a big stretch out like we were in the sun salutations. So start with our hands together. And again, this is going to happen at your natural breathing rate. You don't have to do it at the same time as me. So when you're ready, you breathe in, reach up towards the ceiling, and then breathe out, bring your hands together, and let's do that twice more. So thanks very much for joining me this morning. If you missed the start of it, this video is going to be on YouTube and you'll still be able to watch it later on anyway on Facebook. So you'll be able to see it right from the start. Hope you like doing sun salutations. Have a lovely day. And we always finish our classes by saying Namaste together. So thank you very much for joining me today. Namaste.